Okay, so recording is already starting, so that everything now from here on, you can go back and uh, see the recording in Google Classroom. Okay, now not Google Classroom but Moodle Classroom. Moodle Classroom. Nato, no? Now, as we have said, or as I have said, the the lecture that we will have today is actually part of the what? Is actually part of the uh, team teaching approach that we will be having. There will be 3 instructors that will teach this course because there are so many sections assigned to us. So we divided. But although it is divided into different sections, this offering number and the one that follows at 2:30 to 4 is assigned to me. But our lecture will be uploaded to the model classroom for everybody in the entire offering. Will get the recording of this lecture, so that it is going to be departmentalized ang lecture, no? I will be lecturing to something like 7 sections, no? 7 sections, but it's only you, our section assigned to me, who will get the live lecture, uh, only for like maybe 2 to 3 meetings. After that, everything is virtual, or I would say asynchronous. What we are doing now is asynchronous mode. That means to say, you can talk to me directly, although it is virtual, but at least there is interaction. But later on, I will do lecture. It is asynchronous to be uploaded in Moodle. You can get access to the lecture at your own convenient time. Okay? Now, again, another preliminary before we there are already 15 of you now in the class. Katungwa na ko na roll call, please. I'm going to check you around after the class, before our dismissal. Please tell me, okay, maybe by raising of your hands, or just plainly telling me that you have not been included in the roll call early on, para di mo ma-miss ang 10 points. Fine na lang. That's quiz already for the day, no? So, furthermore, our class policy regarding the course outline, regarding everything that we need to that you need to know about the course, it's already in the Moodle classroom. You can browse it through. Okay? Nakabisit na ba mo? Nakita na mo dito sa class policy na to? Sa Moodle classroom? Kinsay wala pa, kaadto. Daghan pa mo? You visit our Moodle classroom, and then there, makita ninyo ang course outline or syllabus, class policy, information about your instructor, everything, preliminary, including the mission and the vision, or vision and mission of the university, and all that you need to know in terms of introduction, about overview about the course. Okay? So that's why I'm meeting you now, and then I'm going to do a formal lecture. That is assuming na inyong gibasa dito sa Moodle classroom ang preliminary matters about the course, no? Be sure to read them, because you might lose your chance of earning additional points if, for example, mag-include or ko question about the class policy or the mission or vision and mission of the university. Nga wa mo ning basa dito, di maura na kaingnan ninyo inon nga di mo katubag. Be sure to read the preliminary. Should you have any question, okay, about the preliminary part, should you have any question, you also proceed to our chat box. We have a chat box there. in the same Moodle classroom, you post your question or whatever under my section. A abamo, for example, naka-indicate man asa ka nga section. So you write your you write your question or clarification, etc. in that chat box, because I will visit the chat box and then I will respond correspondingly. Are we on the same page? Hello? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Well, kinalang matingog yun mo kaya patay ko I'm not getting any response. That means basig nga talk na lang upan ninyo. But before anything else, pwede ba for 1 minute turn on your camera? Tanaw ko ninyo. Sige, turn on your camera. I would like to see your beautiful and handsome looks. Good. Okay. Mao din ni kay magkatagbo tas gawas wa ta mag-ila ani kay di mo kita sa inyo mga naong, no? So, okay. Ay pag nga kay nang ipang tanaw. Now this is one thing. Sometimes during our class, no? I would require you to open your camera, but please kung nag-camera nagkuan mo, well, reminder, netiquette. Ayaw po nang naamo basig naamo dito asa mo naghukas mo ditong malaki maghukas na nag-attend og klase. Ayaw po na, no? Kinahanglan nga asip nag-eskwela jud ka, no? Ayaw nang kuan kanang naay og naghigda ba kahinon ka nag-attend ka klase, ayaw po na. Pay attention, no? So netiquette, no? So Neriel, are you there? O ko kita ni Maday. Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Julie Carmel. Asa ra bang ka? Okay. Si Arnel Concilio. Arnel. Okay. Si Kay Dudalo. Kay. Where are you? Kay, are you there? Okay. Ano to? Ulaw kay kuan. I'm just checking, no? Trying to familiarize kay kuan dara ba? I'll be lecturing you on 3 or 4 lessons lang, no? The rest of the semester, ang uban na pud nga faculty may mag-lecture ninyo. No, I'll only be lecturing to you mga 3 or 4 topics lang out of like 12 topics. Okay? So, the next time I will see you will be in another topic already, no? So, okay. You can close your camera so that makakuha tag enough bandwidth. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, after calling the roll, before I'll start the lecture, who else? Wala na ko natawag ganina para tagaan ako kuan present bonus, attendance bonus. Kinsa ba na ko natawag ganina?
Ako, sir.
Jonathan Florida. Okay, Jonathan Florida. Yes, absent to takaderido. Maanya na ikay ni Tim Auka. Kinsa pa? Wala na ko natawag ganina. Wala na si Jonathan ra. So I would assume na ang gimarkahan ako og present dire, present jud. No? So okay. Now, it's raining very hard already here at BSU, but I know that you wouldn't you couldn't hear that, so we might as well proceed with our lecture today. Assuming nakabasa na mo sa outline, nakita na mo sa grading grading policy. The grading policy, the same thing, no? That we are just following the VSU standard. And then the learning task, be sure to accomplish the learning task. Kaya ang learning task, mura na og quiz ninyo. And that learning task is actually higher in terms of percentage. It's about 45% of your grade. Kung magpogi gyud mo ang answer ang learning task, no? I can be very flexible in terms of learning task submission, but please i-submit gyud ang inyong learning task. That's 45% of your grade, no? And then the midterm exam or midterm and final exam, Na 35% na. The remaining is other assignments. No? Sorry. So that is something about the grading. No? Now, uh, I think some of you have read nabasa na ninyo tong policy. So we will, and also the outline, no? Outline or ang syllabus para at least kabalo mo o unsay topic nga atong i-discuss. This time, I'm going to bring you on, okay? I'm going to bring you on to our lecture. First lecture in agribusiness management system, no? Agribusiness management system. So let me share my screen, ladies and gentlemen, no? I will share my screen and then we'll start our formal lecture. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Very good.
Sir.
Here we are.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is our first lesson in our course in agribusiness management system. I will repeat. This is already I'm assuming that you have read the outline and or the syllabus in our Moodle classroom. If you haven't done it yet, please go to our Moodle classroom and read the preliminary para di mo maligaw. Na? So in your course outline, the first lesson is in module 1. The first lesson is review of basic agribusiness concept. Okay, that's lesson module 1, lesson 1.1, review of basic agribusiness concept. Okay, these are the learning outcomes. At the end of this lecture, the students are expected to recall the definition of agribusiness, explain agribusiness from different perspectives, and identify the subsystems that form parts of the entire agribusiness systems. Okay? So, at the end of this lecture, tulo lang ka lesson objective na to, no? Refresh your imagination and your understanding about agribusiness, and then probably you can reword the definition according to your own understanding. You can reword the definition of agribusiness. Depende sa inyong perspective, no? And then the third one is also refresh us a little bit in terms of the systems perspective of agribusiness, that it has or it is composed of different subsystems. The entire agribusiness system is composed of various subsystems. Okay, that is the starting point for this particular course. Okay. Now, starting from imagine yourself that you took the agribusiness, introduction to agribusiness, maybe last week or maybe last month. So, very fresh pa ang imong understanding in terms of agribusiness. So, what picture can you probably think of in terms of what agribusiness is all about? No, what sort of picture can you imagine? No, so you have maybe a lot of things going on in your mind, and then there will be some sort of, I hope not confusion, but there will be some sort of convergence in terms of your understanding. But hold on to that and let's take a quick tour of the review process in terms of understanding what agribusiness is all about. No? So what is agribusiness? Okay, I'm going to give you three different, or actually four different perspectives of agribusiness. Now, I'm not going to read them entirely, but I'm going to just pinpoint the core argument of each definition. The first definition of agribusiness, just to refresh you of what agribusiness is all about. Kay agribusiness ra ba gyud mo? So kinahanglan gyud nga kabalo gyud mo. What is agribusiness? Basi pangutan-on mo sa inyong tatay, inyong nanay, o kinsa ba lolo ninyo. Unsa man ang agribusiness dai, unsa man ang agribusiness do. So mga nga, basta kuan man na, it is the sum total of all operation. Ano, mura kag nagparot ra sa definition. Tinalang sabto nimo what's in that kana bang definition. So the first definition is by Davis and Goldberg. This was forwarded, or this was given, put forward by Davis and Goldberg in 1957 in Harvard University. From 1957, it arrived in the Philippines. That definition, the same definition arrived in the Philippines in 1966. That means to say, 10 years after pa na nahimugso ang agribusiness sa Pilipinas. It was only in 1966. No? Now, in Davis and Goldberg definition, it looks at agribusiness as really a connection of various operations from where the farm is operating and the inputs needed in that farm, and how the output of the product or output of the farm goes from one segment, for example, goes to processing and marketing until it reaches the final consumption, something like that. No, it's an operations based, according to Davis and Goldberg, entire operation. Pinay manufacturing, naapoy distribution, naapoy production, no, and marketing, no. Pagtanaw ni Davis and Goldberg, it's a whole gamut of different operations involved, no, sa total sa agribusiness, no. Now that is Davis and Goldberg. You can read this definition. Now in Donnie and Trock, it's little forward, like 1981, he looked at agribusiness as a supply of like for example a production base. No, it's a production base, input output lens, from the input output lens, and then not only that, in the output it goes further than being able to produce, but also processing and even go into the details of marketing. That's Donnie and Trock's definition. It says that it includes total input, farm and product sectors that supplies farm inputs. Okay, and finally handling, processing, distributing until it reaches the final customers. That's Donnie and Trock. Now let's take a look at Roy, 1980s definition. Okay, now he look at agribusiness from a disciplinary perspective, because it's a lens of looking at the science behind agribusiness. They call it the coordinating science. No? Coordinating science. Why science? Because it involves analytical and logistical analytical tools. Okay, science of supplying agricultural production inputs, subsequently producing, processing, and distributing food and fiber. Okay, food and fiber. Actually, the Philippine definition of agribusiness includes the 3 F's: food, fiber, and feed. No, so that's actually included in Roy 1980s definition. Now, down in the very immediate past, for example, well, more than not very immediate, but at least very close to where we are now, 2020, relatively closer to us, is Edwards and Schultz definition. Okay, Edwards and Schultz definition, 2005, looks at agribusiness as a market-oriented, like for example, endeavor. It's market-driven endeavor. It is a new millennium definition of agribusiness that actually evolved as a dynamic, systemic endeavor that serves customers globally. Not only market-driven endeavor, but it is also global in scope. No, global in scope. You will notice that this time, agribusiness is really a very dynamic uh, activities of agriculture that actually is highly influenced by the what is going on in the global market. That's the core argument of Edwards and Schultz. Okay, so these are the no, these are the say the calibration and recalibration of the definition until finally we reach a very very familiar definition of agribusiness, not a little farther than Schultz's definition, Edwards and Schultz, that it already involved sustainable agribusiness systems. When we say sustainable, it now embraces the necessity and the urgency of managing the environment where agribusiness operates. It's not only enough that you earn profit or you generate production at the optimum, but it's also how you protect the environment. It's very important. Of what good is your agribusiness operation if it is destructive to the environment? So that is now the most recent definition: sustainable agribusiness systems. It goes a little further from Edwards and Schultz's definition in 2005. That is now the most recent emphasis of agribusiness. Agribusiness that is responsive or that is responsive and sensitive to the protection of and conservation of the environment. Sustainable agribusiness systems. Okay, going back to our background in agribusiness, of course, we would like to understand it further. It is a field of study. Okay, agribusiness is a field of study that actually would focus on a lot of things: my economics, my like for example management, agriculture, and all those multidimensional field of study that comprises the necessity of really equipping ourselves in terms of analyzing and understanding how business and agriculture is operationalized and is implemented. No? It is a field of study. It is different from different from agricultural economics. Ano sabi diferensya na sa agricultural economics? Like, how will you differentiate? By the way, if you were asked, ano sabi diferensya sa agribusiness o agricultural economics? Anybody who has an idea? What do you think is the difference between agribusiness and agricultural economics? Any volunteer? Agribusiness, agricultural economics. Okay? Wala? Okay. So if you say agribusiness, you know agribusiness. What about agricultural economics? No? From the word agricultural economics, the decision maker in agribusiness is actually different from the decision maker in agricultural economics. In agricultural economics, the decision maker is the agricultural economist. Okay, you have in agribusiness, the decision maker is agribusiness manager. So you have here two different personalities. You have the economist and the manager. The economist is more of like administration or like doing something for the welfare of the economy because it is economics, maybe welfare of society. But if you think about agribusiness manager or manager, what is the area of focus for manager? It's the business organization. In other words, in agricultural economics, you are more of like looking at the welfare of society. But in the agribusiness, you are looking at the welfare and profitability of individual entrepreneur or individual business. Okay? Are you getting what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes,
No?
sir.
Furthermore, very good. You are responding to my question. Furthermore, very importantly, take note of this, the difference between agricultural economist and agribusiness manager. Agricultural economist decides matter or decides a problem basing on optimality, optimal condition. That means to say, what is it's a theoretical optimum. Okay, theoretical optimum. But in agribusiness manager, it's more of you have, for example, you have to have a satisfying, okay, satisfying the profitability requirement of the business firm. Okay, so that means to say you are more concerned of like the profitability of your firm. Now in the economics world, you are more of like uh, deciding things on the basis of optimality. But in agribusiness world, you are basing your decision in terms of what is best for the business firm in terms of profitability. You satisfy the objective of the firm in terms of profit, in terms of added value to the investor. But in economics, you satisfy what is optimum for society. Okay, so very broad ang sa economics. It's more of like the 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 management man and the administrative man, no? So something like that. And then another thing is that in agribusiness, it is integrative and multidisciplinary. You have all sorts of different fields, no? All sorts of different disciplines involved in agribusiness. Now, since it is management in orientation, this particular course will study the concept and principles in the field for the career in agribusiness. Okay, you have agribusiness will deal with farming, agribusiness deal with natural resource management, government, and related areas. So it's when you look at agribusiness, it involves a convergence of many other field of discipline. Murata og mutilaw ta sa uban ng mga field because that is very important for decision making. Like naapotay gamay agricultural engineering. Tama mo yung subject, agricultural engineering. Naapotay gamay about agriculture, you have soils, you have crop science, something like that. Naapotay gamay on government, mga governance, like you have a class in management, you have class in business policy, or something like strategic management. And more importantly, you have to have a relative depth, no? Relative depthness in your understanding about farm production. So, no? So from the word agribusiness, it's anchored on the farm production operation. No? But farm production alone is not agribusiness. That's agriculture. No? Agribusiness, I hope that we are cleared now. You have finished Management 102. You know already the difference between agriculture and agribusiness. Okay? Agriculture is just one segment of agribusiness. Agribusiness is a multifaceted segment that involves agriculture and all the others. No? So agribusiness also as a structure, okay? It has components that are interrelated to one another. Okay, components that are interrelated to one another. The success of one component depends on the performance of the other component. Like for example, you have a processing like cacao processing. You establish a cacao processor, manghimo kag chocolate or manghimo kag tablia. Your profitable operation as chocolate processor or chocolate maker depends on the availability of supply of cacao beans. What about kung why cacao beans there is a Leyte? Your cacao processing or tablilla processing will just be an imagination of the mind because you cannot deliver the required or the expected output without the input from the farm operation. So it's really very interconnected. So the success of one component depends on the performance of the other component. If there are cacao farmers, for example, in Leyte, do they have enough marketable surplus? Basig igo ra pod ng ilang production sa ilang consumption. That is another problem. If they are not market-oriented, dili po ka maka-expect nga you will be more profitable also in your cacao processing because you will not have enough raw material supply. So that's how agribusiness interrelates as a structure. No? Agribusiness also can be seen as a sector. Okay? Sector. There are various sectors in agribusiness. You have crop production, animal production, and then forestry or fishery, agri-support services, manufacturing. This is the definition from the Department of Labor. Definition from the Department of Labor in 2012. There are various sectors. Kung mukuan ka mo, kanabang mo Google ka, no search ka agribusiness sector, kani ihatag din mo. Different like sectoral divisions of agribusiness. Okay? But we have another view, the conceptual view of agribusiness as a sector. It's viewed like this conceptually. Okay? Agribusiness is actually what is in the red line or red letter text at the middle. So what can you describe agribusiness sector at the middle? Okay? So what is that sector? How will you describe that portion, agribusiness sector? Okay? So you have agribusiness sector involves, okay, the agriculture sector, service sector, okay, and industrial sector. When you say industrial sector, it is purely its manufacturing operation. When you say service sector, it includes the non-manufacturing sector like banks, like logistics, the non-manufacturing but providing service, like for example, breeding support or several others, like plant breeding, animal breeding or something like that. No? But agriculture is the core of agribusiness. And then the convergence, okay, it's partly service, it's partly industrial, and the entire of agriculture. Okay, so that means agribusiness is the convergence at the center. Convergence at the center. That means you have agribusiness, like for example, operating as a convergence of all the other sectors in the economy. Now, agribusiness further defines the link between agriculture industry through an interdependent backward and forward linkages. When you say backward, what is that? Input, supply, production, and marketing. Okay, that is backward. And forward, you have from output, production, processing, and sorry, and marketing. No, so you have what can you say? For example, can you observe in this statement when relative to where you are operating, the backward part is the one that supplies you with, like for example, inputs, the trading of these inputs and the production of these inputs. That is your backward. Okay, your forward is the, of course, ang imong forward is the supplier of your the production activity, no? The production activity that you have, and the processing when you process this, and marketing. Okay, and marketing. That's also in your forward. That means activities involved after you produce your final product. How do you deliver that to the final customer? In what format? In what quantity? In what, say for example, logistical support? That is your forward. Your backward, say for example, connection, backward linkage, will be who supplies you with inputs, the one that supplies you before you are able to produce the final product, who supplies you with inputs. What are the training and marketing practices involved in being able to procure or get access to valuable inputs? That is your backward. Okay? So that is, you have to be clearer on that. No? You have more of this in your other subjects. Furthermore, agribusiness, we look at agribusiness as an open system. As an open system. You will have a one lecture session about systems analysis, no? In agribusiness. Now, as an open system, it is a combination of related parts organized into a complex whole. When you say a system, it is composed of many parts and functioning as one. Okay? Dili pwede ng it is a system kunya na ay usa nga wa mo andar. Kung nay usa wa mo andar, wa mo dagan, the entire system will collapse. Okay? For example, for those of you who is sitting, okay, those of you who are sitting on a like table or chair, naglingkod mo lingkuranan karon. Okay? Is that chair a system? It is a system. What is the function? To support you when you sit for a certain work or activity. And what are the components of that system? Kana imong gilingkuran. Na ITL, na isandiganan, na isaog. Okay? Pag mayroon ka nga lingkuranan, naguba ang usa ka tiil. What kind of lingkuranan is that? No? Di ka kalingkod, bakimpang na. Mayroon ka nga, lingkuranan bitaw ni. Pero buslot o walay saog na buslot man what happens? It will not attain its objective of supporting, mahugmak pa lang na. So wala. Okay man ni lingkuran ni wa ni sandiganan, delikado, hayang ka ana. So it has a function and it is composed of many systems. Function that is converging the entire work of that particular system. The agribusiness system has all the different components as a system. What are the components as a system or subsystem? You have input, farm production, processing, marketing, and facilitating sector. Now, as a system, it is also sensitive to external environment. Agribusiness as a system, interdependent from input and raw material sector to production sector and then to manufacturing sector. It is an interconnected and interdependent, say, operation as a system. The production sector cannot and will not operate kung walay viable support from the input sector. And then the production sector or processing sector will not survive if there is no viable support from processing or manufacturing, even marketing sector. No? It cannot survive. So the reason why it is interlocking, because they need the support of each other. So as the saying goes, the entire system, the whole, is greater than the sum of its individual part. Because may kag sum of individual parts, murag dili sila interdependent. Dili gid siya interdependent ang imong perspective. Pero may mga the whole is greater than the sum of its individual part. That means to say the interdependence and the interaction of the entire functioning of the system is much more important than the individual parts taken separately as part of the system. Because just like I'm going to go back to my other definition kanina, akong question kanina, kung lingkuranan as a system, a chair that supports your weight, where you are sitting now. Kung mayroon ka nga, kanang dili sila interdependent. Now, naisawag pero ang imong tiil wa magkatupong. So kimpang-kimpang ng imong kwan, dili siya supporting each other, no? Importante mo akong nakulingkuran na namin ay tiil, nabi tayo tiil pero di nagtupong. That means to say you are not coordinating to the overall function of the entire system. Kanang imong galingkuranan karon, no? Very simple but very relevant and understandable example. Now, given that statement, the whole is greater than the sum of its individual parts, it underscores the importance of the interdependent connection between components. So, the normal and optimal and sustainable functioning of the system depends on the interdependent connection and relationship of all the subcomponents or subsystems. Now, formally, as a system, agribusiness is composed of various subsystems. Okay? One is, of course, you know that already, the input subsystem, the farm production subsystem, and then you have the processing subsystem. And down the line, you have the marketing subsystems. Okay? So, you will notice, I will backtrack a little, kung mayroon kang agriculture, where is agriculture here? It's located in farm production only. You have animal products, plant products, forest and forest products, aquatic products. These are output of the of agriculture. While agribusiness goes beyond and even before that. Giunsa as I supply sa seeds, variety, fertilizer, machinery to be used, that is agribusiness. Why? Gamiton mo na sa farm production. Nga nga sa processing. In the processing that involves manufacturing operation. Why is it part of agribusiness? It is part of agribusiness when it uses products from agriculture as raw materials. Okay? Diba? If a manufacturing operation that uses products from agriculture as the raw materials, that's part of agribusiness, processing subsystem. Like for example, ice cream manufacturing, processing. Ice cream processing. Is it an agribusiness operation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. It is an agribusiness operation. Why do you think? First, nga naman nga agribusiness man siya. It uses
Nagamit man siya raw materials.
what raw materials?
Kanang iyang i-flavor, sir. Example, ang ice cream kay mag-flavor og mango. Gamit
Mango.
siya mango nga raw materials.
What else? Mango, and then what else?
Coconut, sir, na kuhaan ka ng iyang tuno. Like
Tono.
that.
Kada ice cream butang ang tono.
Yes, sir. Sa kuhaan, sir. Dili sa mo.
Bitaw. Pero delikado magkakaon ta nagpanos-panos nga tono. Anyway, product, you have also OB, di ba? OB ice cream. You have dragon fruit ice cream. These are products of agriculture. Plus, of course, milk. You cannot make an ice cream without a milk. So, that is dairy. products of dairy operation. Therefore, no doubt, 101% ice cream manufacturing is an agribusiness entity. What about like say for example, shampoo manufacturing? Is it an agribusiness agribusiness operation or agribusiness enterprise or not? Shampoo processing. What do you think?
Agribusiness enterprise.
What way? In what way?
Aloe vera.
Yeah, aloe vera. What about aloe vera? Well, what's that? It's a plant, no?
Yes, sir.
Agricultural and domesticated plant. Nya, gigamit na siya if it is the main ingredient, no? It is a main ingredient. Matang main siya nga ingredients ba? So, main raw material for shampoo processing, well, it's still part of agribusiness. Pero, for example, tire manufacturing. Tire manufacturing, is it agribusiness or what? Andam mo, okay, basic mo ni question ako sa learning task. Okay, tire manufacturing, is it agribusiness or not?
Agribusiness lang, sir.
In what way?
Kay cancer ka ng, namay cancer ka ng guma nga gikan sa tree, sir.
Okay,
Namay ka na, sir. Plantation na.
ay rubber from rubber plant, of course, no?
Yes, sir.
If that is your argument, that is correct. What about if tire processing or rubber tire manufacturing, pero it's using synthetic rubber? How can it be an agribusiness or not an agribusiness? I'm just challenging your imagination in extending your understanding about agribusiness. Well, I'm not going to stay long in that question. Even if it is synthetic, synthetic rubber gigamit niya, no? Gigamit niya as for tire manufacturing, it could still be an agribusiness enterprise or operation if the final product of tire is used for agricultural operation, like ligid sa traktor. That is agriculture. Ligid sa imong mga farm, farm implements, or ligid sa tire of those heavy equipment that is used to haul, for example, mga agricultural goods. So it's an agribusiness operation. Kung imo nang gamiton ang tire for airplane, dili na, it's already pure business, not agribusiness. Like for example, lubricant, car or engine lubricant from like African oil palm. Engine lubricant from your product now, the final product is lubricant. So if it is really a direct derivative of processing from African oil palm, it's agribusiness. Now, there are specific lubricant that not necessarily coming from African oil palm, maybe synthetic from like, for example, kaningikan sa oil processing. Pero nakahimo sila lubricant nga very effective. Maayo kaayo nga lubricant for engine. But that particular lubricant is also used for kanini ang lubricant for tractor, lubricant for any other type of implements like mga prime movers sa farm operation activities. That still becomes an agribusiness enterprise for so long as it is the major, like for example, use of that particular product. No? So that's where you demarcate the boundary between agribusiness and pure business. Katong imong diagram, ganun nga systemic nga conceptual diagram, makahibalo na ka where the boundary lies. Asa ng agribusiness, asa po ng pure business. The farther the product connects to agriculture, kung layo na kayo siya sa agriculture and related activities, the more it becomes a product for pure business. Then the reverse is true. The closer that final product connects to agriculture and its related activities, the higher the possibility that it is still part of the agribusiness system. Okay? Are we on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Good. Very good. Okay. So let's move a little further. Okay. So you have facilitating sector, support sector, and then you have all the different, facilitating function in agribusiness. You have logistics, information, coordination, policy programs, human resource, incentives, technology, etc. Imo lang hinumduman ana if that particular money is, or say for example service connects to agriculture, it's still part of agribusiness. Okay. Now, down the line, agribusiness, we see also, we understand also, we understand also agribusiness as a value chain network. Value chain network. From the word value chain, that means to say an interconnected chain of operation. An interconnected chain of operation that generates value. You cannot connect from one of operation to the other if it does not generate value. Value could be profit. Value could be service. Value could be maybe savings in terms of cost. No? Value chain. That means you connect from one chain to the other with ever-increasing value. A value chain is a set of activities that a firm operating in a specific industry performs in order to deliver valuable products to the market. Okay? The objective of value chain is to deliver quality and usable product to the market. Okay? From the word value. It is of value. Kung kano na sa customer, it is of value. Kung palito na sa customer, it is of value. Now, who defines value, by the way? Who defines value? Your product.
The customers.
The customer. Very good. No? Sunod, andam na kog 10 points ani para o kinsay mo answer og sakto tagana kog bonus, no? It's very inspiring if you interact with me, no? The one that defines value is the customer. When there is value from the perspective of the customer, it creates demand. Therefore, value chain is demand chain. Let me repeat that. If it creates value from the perspective of the customer, it also generates or creates demand. Therefore, value chain is actually analogous to demand chain. So that means the value that we are talking is actually defined from the perspective of the customer and then cascaded upward until you reach the point of production. Therefore, whatever the customer wants, that should be the one that will be produced by the producer. Dili ka magbuot-buot nga, wa ka kahibaw og unsay need sa customer niya imong gi-produce, natingala ka with it when you offer that for sale in the market, walay mo palit. Why? Because there is no, you're producing something that is not in sync with the demand of the customer. Very basic, but that is what we mean by value chain. Now, as you push the product, as you sell the product from production and then going into the chain until you reach the final customer, it will really flow smoothly because as the product transits along the chain, it creates value. Okay? It creates value. So that means it's very profitable. Okay? That is a value chain. Anyway, you will have a more detailed lecture on the value chain analysis later on. No? Now, just an example, quickly. A value chain network could be this one. You have you have the input supply down below, okay? Input supply from below, and then your production buyer until you reach your market in maybe in the global or retail market. So that means to say each stage of the chain will be responsible in making sure that whatever specifications defined, value specifications defined by the customers in the global market is also what is being produced at the production level. And the production sector also will buy inputs that meets the requirements of the market. Because if you, for example, process something, be sure nga you have to be specific in terms of what particular quality are you talking from in the first place. If they if the customer is particular about sweetness, for example, the final product, you have to make sure that the variety that you are buying of particular uh, raw material, the variety of crop or whatever the seed, for example, is a seed that is actually producing sweet, like for example, final product. Okay, so just a very quick, topical or like conceptual understanding. So you will have a full treatment of value chain analysis in the subsequent lecture. No? So these are the lessons that we are actually going to tackle this afternoon. That is, or this is lesson 1.1. No? Lesson 1.1. Now, for some of you who still has some kanang mga pangutana, you can say it now or you can write that in our chat box dito sa Moodle na kay you need clarification on some topics, no? So you go to the our Moodle classroom and you like say for example right there clarification or whatever you want me to do something in order to allow you to understand more, no? So I'll stop sharing and then human we will do some end of the class discussion, no, so that we will be able to understand better, no. Now so far what is are you connecting or is there anybody nga murag di kay makadungog sa akong lecture? Klaro ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. No? So our time is 2:21. No? That means we still have 9 minutes before we dismiss because I have another class after this. No? Katong lain na po nga offering number. Now, as I said, I will be lecturing only on few topics. Other topics will be lectured by your other instructor. Now, I will record this one. No, I'm going to record this one, and like record this, and then of course you can go back to this recording afterwards, no, para ninyo mabalikan ninyo ang lecture. Okay? Now take note, I will post the learning task so that inyong answeran tong learning task dito sa model once I will post something already there. No? So, just one more time, kinsay wala nako na kuan ganina na tawag sa attendance.
Ako, sir, kay dugay ko nakasud.
Kinsa man na? Abin kinsa man? See?
Masyon, sir, masyon.
Masyon. Okay. Yes. Bitaw. Krisya?
Yes,
Christian,
sir.
no? Mansion? Masyon, no? Okay, okay na. Kinsa pa? Wala na ko na tawag ganina.
Baay po, sir.
Baay o
Nag-three na.
okay na. Okay na, Janice. Okay na, baay. Kinsa pa? Anybody? Still? Wala na? Naamay ning leave, no? Naay ning leave. Nakaagwanta siguro ang load unsa man. Unsa inyong problema? Are you just using cellphone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Ja, hangin pa sad sir sa
Yes,
uban
sir.
na pa.
Hangin, sir. Go.
Cell
One.
ang uban laptop.
Yes sir.
Kasi ang uban o laptop pero ang kasagaran sa inyo kuan.
Cellphone.
Cellphone, sir, ang gamit.
Yeah. So that means half of you wala mo attend karon. Kay 15 raman nang attend sa ato.
Si
No.
Padre Ricky, sir.
Ha?
Si Padre Ricky, sir, kay dili siya kasod.
How come? Nani naman sa kasod?
Di
Padre
daw sir.
Ricky?
Dili ma-accept, sir, ang iyang pag-join.
Dili ma-accept. Pero tama man tong nakadawat magkasa sa invitation.
Yes, sir.
O nga na, di man ma-accept. Ibulong ko. Nakadawat sa invitation pero di ma-accept basin signal. Baka anyway, Padrike, no? Sulod. So, just for this time, na ay early bird incentive. Mahal ng mahatag to sa katong mga present nya og wa jud kasulod naning kamot jud kanyo wa jud kasulod. I-consider lang na nako tagaan lang gyapon kanakong bonus. Pero kadtong murag deliberately murag wa na lang gyud mo attend kay adto na lang dito sa model aw kasi wa mo'y bonus karon man lang na sa early bird because I want to meet you guys, everybody, makita ko ninyo, no? So the next time around in my lecture it will be asynchronous. That means you go to our model classroom and tuan na dito ang lecture recorded siya, access it according to your convenient time, no? Kung say convenient ninyo. So okay, no? I will stop from here and of course I'll record this and you can go back to the lecture after our class or at any time convenient sa inyo.